Hey, hello. My name is Robin Da Vinci. I'm happy to be here back with you discussing tax forms. And of course, once January is over, the tax crazies come out of the woodwork and go, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What's happening? And so I'm going to go over the forms again with you. And throughout the next couple of videos, I'm going to explain the forms, and then the forms will be available for you to look at. So the first thing I want to talk about is filling out a W-9 when you are about to become an independent contractor for a company. Now, just for your backup, an independent contractor means that you are in business for yourself. And when they pay you your fee, they do not remove tax. It comes to you as gross money without any tax taken out. And so it is not net income. It is gross non-employee compensation. Now that means that you are not on staff, that you do not belong to part of their payroll staff, and that you are an independent business person who is doing a project for them and being paid for the project. If indeed you are not in business for yourself and someone is trying to make you an independent contractor to get out of payroll tax and workers' comp, you have to say something because you are not a true contractor. Here's what it takes to be a contractor: a business license, a business in your own name, an independent contractor agreement, DBA saying that you're doing business as something, or your paperwork that says you're an LLC or an S Corp, and that you file a tax return under Schedule C, or you file a corporate return. If you are in those categories, then a 1099 is the correct form for you at the end of the year. So Form W-9 is what they're going to hand you. And the Form W-9 asks for your name, the name of your business, your tax ID number, your address, and that you are not asking to have money taken out. Now you have to understand, most employers do not want to remove tax money for you. What they're expecting from you as an independent contractor is that you send the tax off to the government quarterly like you're supposed to with estimates. They're called 1040 ESs. And if you live in a state like California, it would be the 540 ES. And quarterly, you would send out the tax on the money that you made from your independent contractor work. So there will be a W-9 filled out. So once they get your W-9, you give them your independent contractor and your insurance, because they don't want to pay workers' comp on you. So you have to show that you have liability insurance. And if you have employees yourself, that you have workers' comp, so that they don't need to worry about that. And then they pay you straight check. They write it out to ABC Tiling Company, and you end up with your money. Now, the W-9 is a very easy form to fill out. You fill it out, you sign it, you date it, you hand it back to them. And then at the end of the time you're there, or the end of the calendar year in which you did the work, they will send out a Form 1099 to you. And it will say on it, 1099 non-employee compensation. And in box 1, if you made $20,000 for them, they will have in box 1 $20,000. That form will be sent to the government, and when the government gets your tax return, they will look for the income that people told them you got. Now, long ago, and that is like 1984, when I started doing 1099s. So yes, I'm that old. When I started doing 1099s, people would call me and yell at me and say, why did you give me this? I don't want the government to know I made this money. I don't want to claim this. Well, as a person who does the accounting, I'm obligated on behalf of the owner of the company to send out a 1099 and to make sure that as an owner of the company, I can take the deduction for contract labor while telling the government that you got the money as an independent contractor. So see, there's a lot of layers here. You fill out a W-9, you're going to get a 1099. And then what happens is the person who gave you the money fills out a 1096 and tells the government, I had this many 1099s, but the 1096 will reflect to the government how many people the owner of the company sent 1099s to. You will be one of them. And so then what they'll do is they'll match the recipient, which is your ID number, up with your tax return and look for that money. So really, all of these forms are tattletale forms to get you to pay tax on your income. Now, when you fill out a W-9, you are confirming that you are not an employee. There's a difference between 1099 income and W-2 income, and I'm going to go into that in the next video. So remember, a 1099 contractor, which is what a lot of businesses want to hire, payroll tax, medical insurance, liability insurance, workers' comp on you. You come in, you say, I'm a business owner. And they say, okay, where's your W-9? Smart people fill out their W-9 in advance, have their independent contractor agreement with them, which states all the items on that contract, how much you're being paid, when you're paid, that you don't have taxes taken out, what can they do if they want to fire you, how many days notice, all those things are in that contract. So you bring your W-9, your independent contractor agreement specifically for your company, and then you bring in your liability insurance, which is not very much, and on that liability insurance certificate, if you have employees, your workers' comp information, have that lined up. And then if your business is a DBA, which means doing business as, like me, if I said, my name is Robin DaVinci and I want to do Robin DaVinci Management, I would file with the state I live in a DBA, and I would get a form that says I can do business in that name. And then you want to have your checking account information with you in case they want to do a direct deposit. So 5 forms: the W-9, an independent contractor agreement, a certificate of insurance, your DBA, and your checking account information. That is what you have to do if you're an independent contractor. Then at the end of the term, they can issue a 1099 to you when you're done with your project, or they'll wait until January of the following year and they'll issue you a 1099. They have to mail them by January 31st, and you are expected to receive them in the first week of February. So that's what's supposed to happen. Now, second layer of this, after you do all those forms, what this implies is that on your tax return, which I will show you in a later video, that you actually have expenses against that 1099 income. So you get a 1099 for $20,000. You have a cell phone, you have auto insurance, you have a car payment, you use your car for your business, you have meals, entertainment, subscriptions that you pay, dues that you pay, a license that you have to get. All of those things are deductible against your 1099 income. So what happens with that is you need to keep track of every single item that you spend so that you can legitimately deduct money against your gross income. Now, here's the rub. The government looks for 2 or more 1099s to prove that you're actually in business for yourself. If you have only one 1099 for the whole year, that could raise a red flag that causes the IRS to audit you and say, why did you only have one 1099? And if you only worked for one person, why weren't you their employee? So remember, in this whole subject of W-9, 1099, and Schedule C business where you file, you have to have 2 or more 1099s to really be considered in business for yourself. Otherwise, the IRS could look at your tax return and say you were misclassified as an independent contractor and should have been an employee. That is a very gray area where a lot of lawsuits and labor law comes into play. So please be careful that you do not get classified as an independent contractor if you are working for someone at their desk using their supplies, using their computers, and someone is dictating your hours. If they're doing that, you are an employee where taxes should be taken out. You are not an independent contractor. So when this video comes out, you will see the forms and you will understand how they work. Now remember, the most important thing is when you fill out your W-9, it has to match your tax return. So if your Robin Da Vinci, doing business as Robin Da Vinci Accounting. Both those names need to be on your W-9 and on your 1099 when it's issued to you, because they're going to try and match up not only your tax ID numbers, but they're going to try and match up your names. Also, if you do a sole proprietorship, which means you have not filed a legal entity with any government, you can use your social security number. However, if you do get an entity such as an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, or an LLP, you really should file for a federal ID number, which is easy to do at irs.gov. So I think I've said enough about the W-9 and the 1099, the Schedule C, and being an independent contractor. So important to do it the right way. Don't be half-assed. Make sure you have all your paperwork in order. People who own companies are far more likely to want to employ you if they see you as an organized business person. Thanks so much. I hope this helps. Let me know what you think in the comments, like and subscribe.